Well, hello, my friends. So, in this lesson, we're going to learn a little bit more about this so called V8 engine. So, to fully understand how Node.js works, I want to talk about the different subjects that it's made up of. And the first one is this V8 engine. So, I've told you before that Node.js is working on a V8 JavaScript engine. And let's dive a little bit deeper and figure out how it works. So, first of all, a JavaScript engine. What the heck is it? So when we write JavaScript, the computer doesn't actually understand it, right? So it takes a JavaScript code and then converts that JavaScript code into machine code, something that the computer can understand so that it can be processed. So have a look at the diagram and you'll see what I mean. So we have machine code here at the bottom, and that's what computers basically run on and understand. But it's very difficult to program in machine code. In fact, it even looks messy. So what happened was engineers started to abstract different languages from it. For example, assembly language, which sits just above it in here. But it's still pretty much like machine code. So then in here, people figured out how to write C++ or C abstracted from it. These became really popular. But then finally, we got this thing called JavaScript, which sits right up here at the top and abstracted a lot away from the machine code. Okay, so when we write in JavaScript, it means that we're going to need a way for it to be converted into machine code because we don't want to write machine code. But let me reveal something to you. Just like JavaScript, Node.js is actually written in C++. They are exactly the same. But Node.js is all about writing in JavaScript, and it is written in C++. But unlike JavaScript, Node.js allows us to write JavaScript on a computer or server. So the reason that Node.js is written in C++ is because it uses this V8 JavaScript engine created by Google, and it's also written in C++. Okay, so now we know that Node.js is written in C++. And we also know that the V8 JavaScript engine converts the JavaScript that we write into the machine code. So that means you understand it, right? I'm kind of playing with you, but if you do want to read a little bit more about V8, then you can just go to the v8.dev. And you can see in here that it says V8 is Google's open source, high performance JavaScript and WebAssembly engine written in C++, right? I told you. And it's used in Chrome and in Node.js, in case you thought I didn't know what I was saying. So basically, it's also the JavaScript engine that runs in Google Chrome, all right? So when we create JavaScript in Google Chrome browsers, then V8 is being used at that point to translate it into the machine code. And I mean, all this is going on flawlessly and seamlessly, right? So you can see in here that it says V8 can run standalone or can be embedded into any C++ application. Okay, so now that we know that Node.js is a C++ application, and it takes V8 and then embeds it into Node.js, well, how then does Node.js work with V8? Let's follow along with me. Node.js is written in C++, and V8 is embedded into it. So when we write JavaScript and we run it through Node.js, it gets passed into V8, converted into machine code, which then the computer can understand. So C++ in Node.js hooks in to the JavaScript V8 engine, and it adds additional features to it. So initially, JavaScript was designed to run in a browser, and it wasn't meant to deal with lower-level operations that we can normally do with C++. But of course, C++ is way more powerful than JavaScript. So Node.js, which is written in C++, hooks into the all-powerful V8 engine and then adds some additional features to JavaScript, such as reading and writing files or connecting to a database. Right? Does that make sense now? So all of this makes Node.js so very powerful. That's why it's become so popular. That's why you want to know more about it. All right, so we have been given, I would say, a great deal of power to wield with JavaScript that we didn't have before. So therefore, it enables us to create server-side code in JavaScript. And if that doesn't get you excited, then I don't know. Do you have a pulse? So here we've talked about what V8 is, how Node.js works, and I think that's enough to digest for now. So go back and review something, have a look at that chart. And in the next lesson, we're going to dive into Node.js. So have a short break here, and we'll come back for the next lesson.